The Derricks swing the vote and maybe the game. Plus, never take your shoes off in a daily challenge. Self-aware CT, Mac Champion Leka, Dee and Bananas starting strong. The expected good teams are good as expected. Turbo gets better at talking shit and making jokes. The format is all over the place. Rogan gets what he asked for, and Justin rebounds from betrayal to shine in his elimination debut. It's the challenge vets and new threats. I still hate saying that. Episode 1 recap coming up right now. What up, my fellow challenge lovers? Welcome to The Challenge Historian, where we dive deep into all things MTV's The Challenge, past, present, or future if it's happening in the Challenge universe. We are here to document it. I am your host and dedicated challenge historian, Jacob Hollaball. Thank you so very much for being here with me today to discuss episode 1, which is in reality episode 2 of season 41. If you did not catch either tonight before, or not tonight, last night, before episode 1, they replayed the episode 0, day 0 launch special, whatever you want to call it, that was aired last week. If you missed that, you definitely missed a whole bunch. You missed a whole bunch of introductions. You probably wondered what the hell we were starting at the daily challenge. But if you didn't miss that, maybe you missed my recap that did only go up yesterday, the day of episode 1. But if you missed all of those things, a quick recap for me about what's going down here this season for Challenge Historian. We will be recapping all of season 41 every single week. It may just not always be Wednesday night like we are accustomed to because of a different job that I've got now versus what I had last time we were recapping a season. So it'll either be Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday at the absolute latest. Any week possible, it'll be Wednesday. A lot of times, I think Thursday is going to be the most regular, like it is right now. Sometimes, in emergency, it will be on Fridays. But we will be recapping it all season long. The other updates are no additional content here on this channel at the moment, but the big announcement was there will be additional challenge content coming that I am a part of that will be over on the Caffeine Confessionals YouTube channel and podcast hosted by the great Alan Aguirre. We will be breaking down some seasons of old, randomly picking different seasons from the past to discuss some different things. One big question about the season to try to answer via 10 topics from that season. The first one has been recorded, will be released in the near-ish future. So keep an eye on that. If you don't already follow Alan everywhere or Caffeine Confessionals, you can go find that and you will see me popping up there with him in the near future. Otherwise, going to be quicker this season. That is a big, big goal of mine, is to not have my podcast recaps with just me talking by myself be as long as the show that we are covering. I'm going to do my best. 30 minutes or less is the goal. If I can average under 30 minutes, I think that would be wonderful for you, for me, for everyone involved. So that's the goal. The format for these recaps will be the same as we've been doing for a very long time and many a season. Now we're going to walk through the episode, hit all the storylines and talking points and opinions worth sharing, and then we're going to hand out some awards, updates on power rankings, and make any predictions or wishes for the following episode and or season. Again, just a little more concisely. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for being back. If you do not already subscribe, definitely do that. If you had unsubscribed in the time we were not together, please resubscribe, follow wherever you're listening or watching. I thank you. I love you. Let's dive in. Challenge 41, which I prefer to say over vets and new threats, episode 1, but really episode 2 recap. Let's do it. We start with the daily challenge because that is where the episode starts. Again, for the last time, if you missed episode 0, a very real full-length episode, then you missed the whole first day of an actual first challenge and the whole day in the house and all that good stuff. So we start this episode at the daily challenge, which is where we start our recap. Love the first game of the season, mud pit, ball pit, whatever they called it. I don't care. It was amazing. It was wonderful. Some form of wrestling in the mud for balls, even if there wasn't a ton of actual wrestling going on here. It seemed like maybe they were told, you can't, if someone's got the gold ball, you can't like tackle them and try to take it away. I don't think we saw any of that. But overall, this type of game, grab balls out of the mud competitively, works every single time. I really liked this one. It did seem really difficult after you've climbed up and down the hill a couple of times and it's gotten really wet and extra muddy and a little more slippery. It definitely seemed like a very fair Very challenging first challenge. So loved everything about it. Didn't love the multiple people that took off their shoes. Thankfully, not thankfully for Adrian, who was the first we saw to take off their shoes, but not the only one. I noticed at least Naya as well maybe had shoes off at some point. To be fair, maybe they just came off in the mud. We have seen that happen to people before. I don't know if it was a choice or it just happened. Maybe it just happened. But Adrian's, it was a choice, mostly made by Rogan, who we over here say, like, go ahead and take off the shoes. Worst idea ever. Never take your shoes off in any single challenge ever. I don't care if you think it is going to be a massive, massive advantage or make your life so much easier. Bad idea all around, mainly for this very reason. Do you think that this is just the best, most perfect mud that has no rocks, no anything, no nothing going on in it that could be not good to step on? Of course not. Okay, they dug a big pit, and it's a lot of work just to dig this big pit and put some mud in it at the bottom of it and get the helicopter to drop the balls and all of that stuff. And they've got all these other challenges and eliminations to build. No. Do not take your shoes off ever in a challenge under any circumstances, except maybe swimming. If you're swimming and you can take them off and you know you're swimming back to the place where you could put them back on, okay, great. Take them off for that. Otherwise, keep them on. And Adrian seemingly gets quite lucky here that both the coin flip, which, there's a part of me that is like, what would they have just been like, all right, Adrian, you're DQ'd if that coin flip lands on the women? I don't know. That would have been quite boring. It would have meant more time at the house. So maybe that's not boring. I don't know, but she gets lucky there, and now she's the hangnail. She has to set out anyways, and they said you got to be off her for 5 days. It seems like she's going to be fine as far as this not eliminating her from the game. We will see. Stitches on the bottom of your foot, though. I know be off of it for 5 days, but it's not like 5 days later just running on it, climbing on it, whatever. It's not going to possibly rip those stitches right back open. So hoping that is not the case, but we will see. The expected good teams did really good here. The teams we kind of looked at as both the high draft picks, either drafters or draft picks based on how they did in the first cardio up and down the mountain challenge they did in episode 0. But we kind of thought Bananas and Dee, Jeremy and Aviv, Izzy, Theo, Olivia, and Cedric were expect those first 3, Olivia and Cedric, a little more like just because of the way it's being edited, and like Olivia is very much, being put forward as one of the newer stars that we've got here. Totally get it, totally deserved. And I think her and Cedric can be a good team, but theirs is a little more personality driven and kind of edit driven. But for sure, Bananas, Dee, Jeremy, Aviv, Izzy, and Theo, we're like, okay, those 3 teams were made up of like really good finishers and really good players for everything we know about them so far. And what do you know? They finished the top 3. Olivia and Cedric get 4. Good teams, looking good, 1 challenge in. The biggest disappointment, if there was any really disappointments in the first challenge, was probably Cara and Jake. I've liked the couple confessionals from Jake, and just like seems like he's an athlete. I forget what his background is or anything like that. I think he was, I don't know. I don't even have the list up in front of me. We'll eventually learn where all these people are from and remember everything from the episode, but seemed like a solid team. To not get top half, I was a little concerned. Like they even showed them the one time they showed them during the challenges, like they were doing kind of good. So I don't know if there was a disappointment, I guess it's that. But overall, I think the teams we kind of expected to be good proved to be good. And then we find out about a point system. I hate the point system. It won a little bit back for me because right when we get in the house, we see the scoreboard with all of the points on it. And that really visually reminded me of way back in the day. One of my all-time favorite seasons, season 5, Battle of the Seasons, when scoreboards were on, and some of the Battle of the Sexes scoreboards were a thing the first 10 seasons of the show. And so it reminded me of that aesthetically. So it won a little bit of points, not even bad pun, almost bad pun intended there. Won a little bit back with me, but overall, format-wise, you know how I feel about the formats. I want simple and straightforward. I don't want, at least this is like you're earning whatever this potential reward or detriment is in the future of your game. Unlike the karma vote, the horrible karma votes of season 40. At least this is like an earned thing, but I'm not a fan overall. I will reserve judgment until we find out exactly how it maybe actually works and will impact the season, but I'm hoping it is an impact felt before the final and not in the final. Then we go to the house and eventually the bar, and eventually we have the nominations. And there's a bunch of stuff to talk about from this. I will try to consolidate it down to a couple key points. The first one, nice and easy and quick, just to group all of the ancillary challenge related things into one quick, really liking everything we're seeing kind of statement here. The house, it seems really good. It's a solid layout. I like the little outdoor space. All of that's really good. They go to a real bar in the city. Of course, there's no real people, patrons there. It's been at least a decade since we've ever been able to do that, where they're never going to do that again. I understand why, but it's nice at least going to like a real bar, not like a little one they built out back for anyone in the city. All of that, the vibes are good, especially with this many cast members there at the start. It always, like it looks like a full populated bar. It looks fun. Love that. The warm weather is good. All things, location, ancillary elements seem like we're in a really good place. Nothing holding back the season in any little small marginal way. So now we've got some confirmation of that. Let's talk about actual things that happened in all of those locations. The big one is that eventually impacts the vote in a big way and becomes kind of the big storyline. A part of Justin's eventual win and everything storyline is Derek and Justin having the chat. Justin has become the target. Rogan has said he wants him or maybe Ben, but then decides, you know what, it's just going to be Justin, and Justin doesn't know how to feel about that. And they have the lovely chat. They discuss, Derek's like, I want to be the big brother to this guy. I've been in this situation. I've been put in early. I've been underestimated, et cetera, et cetera. It's wonderful. It's heartwarming. Love everything about it, and especially because it then gets real juicy because they have that very legit, very heartwarming chat, and obviously eventually Derek doesn't vote for him, and we will come back to that. But him not voting for him and the backstab that comes out of this does help tell the true history of the challenge, and I'm going to be very careful in saying this and explaining this in exactly what I mean, and being very clear about that, because there's a way to say these things that maybe sound much more, don't get my full idea across. So Derek references, being that person before, and there is a lot of the discussion around kind of like being the gay man on the show and being looked at as weaker or picked early because of some prejudice, or just, of either known or unknown from the people doing it, and how that feels, and everything in that kind of conversation. And all of that has certainly happened on this show. Very clearly, there have been some examples, and there's been a couple examples that are like really, really bad, of not just like getting picked to go in an elimination, but of like prejudice and things going on towards the gay men in the house. But the other thing that has happened on top of that, because you have, as happens in life in general too, when you have a real phenomena is probably not the right word, an unfortunate or ugly situation that reoccurs over time, such as this, that sometimes when that isn't happening, it can be put forward as whatever is happening because of that other thing that has happened before, but isn't maybe necessarily happening in that moment. And so I think there's been times where some cast members, and maybe even Derek himself, have said or felt like, and deservingly so, because other times it has happened to them or others around them, it has been for those unfortunate and ugly reasons, but it been like, oh, now I'm getting picked because I'm underestimated, or because I'm the gay guy in the house, or anything else, when in reality, every gay man that comes on the show has to be a rookie at some point, and the rookies get thrown in. And so, pretty much everyone on this show, for the most part, has experienced getting thrown in early on their rookie or maybe second season, etc. And so I think sometimes it's the ugly thing going on, and other times it's just the regular game thing going on. And like in this particular situation, I think while the conversation's heartwarming and wonderful, and they should have it, and they should talk about it, and they should live whatever experiences they are going through, certainly, I do think this completely and utterly had everything to do with just game, and not necessarily a Justin being completely underestimated. Now, Rogan wanting him is very much because Rogan, like a lot of other challengers, has this bias in their head that they're just in Rogan's case, he is at least a big guy that knows my advantage is in a headbanger. That's what I want. I've gotten a couple before. They've been really great because I'm really good at them. And so I get why he's maybe convinced himself and given himself the bias of like, there's more headbangers than not. I just want to go against someone I'm bigger and stronger than. And when in reality, for the most part, those are a small portion of the eliminations that you get. And any elimination can serve any skill set, any body type, any background, anything. And so, I think that happens as much as anything else. So I might have lost the thread there, but that's a bunch of stuff about how I loved the conversation they have. I love that it leads, I don't love for them. I love for the entertainment factor that it leads to a slight betrayal in Derek's vote, and that his reasoning highlights again that this comes down to it's a game, and who has the least attachments and who has the least ripple effects negatively for me in this moment to vote against. And even though we've just had this moment and I've talked to you about how it sucks that you get voted in early and how you got to be a champ and like drive through that and it'll make you better, but also I'm going to be one of the ones that sends you in first. So very entertaining stuff, very juicy stuff, especially for a first episode. And just the House divide overall, the final thing to discuss here with the nominations and everything that happens in the House is really interesting and is setting up, I think, at least early on, to be a very interesting and potentially chaotic political social game that is going on here, where, especially by the end of the episode, when we find out about the new partners, talk about that in a second, but the House is very divided. There is a Bananas contingent, but he's now by the end of the episode, again, we know the partners are always switching. So we're thinking of individuals who are joined up here at this point, not them plus their partners at any point. Bananas has Aviv, Leroy, and Nani for sure. I think those four will roll together because I think Bananas and Aviv are tight. Bananas and Leroy are tight. Bananas and Nani are still tight enough. And Leroy and Nani are super tight. And so those four, I think, roll together for sure. And maybe at different points, if they have partners that will let them call the shots, they can always, have their 4 votes in line. Then I think there's Olivia and Theo, who then have, I think, just Jake, Tay, and Adrian are the other 3 UK people that would still be in the UK. They've lost Rogan, and maybe some partners pending how those shake out. But I don't know with Jake, Tay, and Adrian, it's like they're going to be with a vet. And what's that? Is that vet going to, go along with this? Are they going to be more friendly with Olivia and Theo, Bananas and his crew, or neither side and want to kind of do their own thing? But Bananas and Olivia kind of have equal numbers, more or less, as far as like kind of solid numbers go. And then the 4 vets that I think are going to be the swings. Obviously, all the rookies are going to be swing votes in their own way, depending on who they're with, depending how they want to join forces, depending if the rookies themselves want to just say, hardline, we call the shots every week, and like we're forcing either stalemates with our partners or they're voting with us, and we're going to turn the table and like always vote in a vet here. That is certainly plausible. But to me, the most interesting in the House are Derek K, that is. I would have put the other Derek on the list now, but he seems like he's going to be in a pretty bad situation coming in early here and have lost any friendships he had originally built, but we'll see. But Derek K, CT, Kara, and Ashley, that all 4, we see Derek K also go against Bananas. And this whole thing swings on the fact it ends up being 8-6 with both Derek's choosing to vote for their team and voting for Justin in versus Jake when both had an obvious kind of ish reason to go, especially Derek K, of like, you're working with Bananas, maybe or maybe not. You guys are good buddies, maybe or maybe not, and going against him. So they're the real swings in this particular vote. And I think Derek, CT, Carr, and Ashley, who are not particularly tied to Olivia and Theo in any real way, all have worked with or against Bananas in the past. I mean, Ashley and Kara much less. Derek and CT have definitely worked with Bananas at different times, Derek especially. But all of them, I would say, come into this season neutral as far as Bananas and them go, but could go either way, have mild relationships with most all the vets, no obvious big allies, allegiances. Derek and CT, I think, would be in maybe Kara, those 3 together, I think could become a little trio that kind of always decides together. So overall, pretty even split of the 2 factions that are growing, and a bigger group that is outside of those factions that I think could lead to some really good drama, some really good, depends who's paired with who's calling the shots for who, where we could go with the season. And then finally, we've got the arena. Another really great game. They really nailed it. First episode, great daily, great elimination. Love it all around. It definitely, the game favors Justin in the end. But as I was saying before, Rogan is one of many players who goes in with this bias of like, there's more headbangers than not. I just kind of pick and think through, well, who could I beat in a headbanger? Who do I think I could beat in a headbanger? And 75% plus of the time, it's not a headbanger. It is something that has nothing to do with physically touching the other person at all, and has more to do with different types of athleticism, different sizes being bigger, small, being advantage or disadvantage, the whole thing. And in this one, strategy as much as gas and leg strength and just kind of dexterity and being able to balance is a huge thing in how you have to operate and the types of steps you have to take and being able to roll and stay upright and the whole thing in it definitely favors Justin, the smaller, but just as athletic, has that balance, obviously, with his background in cheer and gymnastics in general. And he also then is the one who gets the strategy from the start of like, I'm not going to gas myself out just throwing myself against this wall at the beginning. I'm going to try to figure out how does this move, what different maneuvers, what steps, what, flips and different things can I do to get the right momentum, to get the right speed necessary. Whereas Rogan just goes pure strength, no strategy, throw myself at this wall. He really has no shot at ever getting over that middle hump. And Justin dominates and just absolutely smokes it. And loved everything about it. Loved, again, the game. I think as much as, I would never have said Rogan going home first is not a good thing for the show. As far as entertainment factor, I was super hyped for him to come back in. I am super bummed that he's gone 2 episodes in reality here. But when it's him versus Justin, I think Justin has a chance to be a real star as a rookie player. And I'm very much looking forward to his season. And so this was a great first, moment to end the first episode on. Some really good momentum. Again, really juicy story with him, kind of looking like he had got himself out, but then thrown back in. His one new friend he had made, kind of casting the final vote, the whole thing, all that drama, everything really, really good. So Rogan is a loss, certainly, for the entertainment potential of the season. But I think Justin is, opens really strong in his bid to be one of the, shining stars of this rookie class. And then we find out about some more format shenanigans. There is the hangnail, which, what are we doing with the name? The hangnail? Excuse me? Are you kidding me? You just aren't playing the next week. Do we even have to name it? Can we name it anything better than the hangnail? I don't have suggestion, but any words coming out of my mouth are better than the hangnail. I digress. We'll figure out what that is. Her fate, Adrian's that is in the hands of the next jury. Does that mean they can vote? I feel like that might mean you either put them in elimination or they're gone. I don't know. Or if you don't put them in elimination, they get to maybe swap places with, who knows? Because next week there's seemingly, if they're going to flip again coin, or is it just going to now, that was a one-time thing, it's going to be women next week. There's a woman that goes home. There's a woman winner. And now whoever goes home, now does Adrian just become partners? Now we're even again. I don't know. We will wait to see before passing judgment on what this hangnail thing is, what these switching partners, do they get to pick? Is this an algorithm situation coming back from Challenge USA 1? Is this just the winner gets to pick someone new, like we've done on a couple of the spy-related seasons? We will see. But I'm not going to pass judgment yet until we know all the facts. But I will say, obviously, I'm leaning towards probably not liking it because, again, I'm just hard and fast on give me a straightforward, simple format and keep it that way throughout the whole season. But, again, this version with the partners changing and the alliances of the house so totally up in the air, maybe it is a major boost and benefit for the show. Awards now. Best quote, best moment MVP. That's what we're giving out for the episode. And we may not do as many nominees this time around. We may just hand out winners for the most part. So best quote. I only wrote down a few. The winner of it is going to be the back and forth between Bananas and Theo that I really liked. All parts of it, but the middle part, your paranoia often is the reason why these things happen. Way to gaslight, bro, not one of your girlfriends. That back and forth from Theo and Bananas was really, really good and really, really fun. And I think they have a really good banter back and forth. And I've always thought Theo is a really good cast member. And so I'm liking that he's taken a center stage a little bit again here in this season. I think that can be a good thing. Best moment. I will give one honorable mention here. Fat C and a little teammate, CT putting Tay on his back. I thought if he maybe had the gas in the tank, I thought like that's actually a real strategy for is anyone going to try to pick up their partner and walk with them on their back in this? I feel like he could have maybe tried that a little bit. Probably not though. Going down the hill, then the falls are going to be even worse if you got someone on your back. But I liked Fat C and a little teammate. That moment was fun. But I will give the entire voting as one long moment or segment, the best moment of the episode. But from Cara perking up immediately the first time Jake's name's thrown out there, like, excuse me, everyone, I know we're supposedly not in elimination, but we don't know what happens. That's good. Let's activate Cara, get her a part of this. Olivia going right back at Dee, like is the thing you just said, your partner is the most guilty of it already and every single season. That was great. And then the double Derek swing at the end where it came down to the two Dereks who you thought would have went for Jake and went for Justin and swung it and maybe swung where the current alliances in the house sit. So that overall, all nominations, love it. Also TJ being there again, love that. MVP of the episode, we got to give the runner up to Bananas. He knows what he's doing, man. He makes the TV. I can say I'm tired. There's no storyline worth seeing. We've seen Bananas versus the house a couple dozen times, like it is what it is. But it is still, he still produces while he's there, and he was still a focal point of the episode and the win that he and Dee got and everything else. But then the winner, I think, has to be Justin, not only for the elimination win and the big moment at the end of the episode, but again, being a part of the fun, juicy drama of the Backstab Derek vote and just taking center stage and them doing pretty well in the daily challenge as well. All of that. So giving the MVP of the episode to Justin. And finishing with some power rankings. So if the teams are going to always change, we're going to power rank just men and women individually here. And for the time being, there's way too many. I'm not doing the whole list. We're doing top 5 for either side. So right now on the women's side, I'm going to go with Cara Maria number 1. I think she's going to be able to not be super targeted for a while. And if all of the people there ran a final right now, I would have Cara and maybe Aviv as like top probably people I would think of in winning a final. And so no real target, very good, very experienced, legendary player, still physically fully able to be a finals favorite. She's number 1. Putting Olivia number 2, I do believe in her alliance being able to at least if not win and run a season, be able to keep her in particular safe when maybe some of the people around her aren't as safe because of being aligned with her. But I feel pretty good about her. I feel good about her opening performance. She's been very good for the most part in all the seasons she's been on. Dailies, limbs, the whole thing. So I'm putting her number 2. Michaela number 3, mostly because I just have high hopes and expectations for Michaela. We didn't see a ton this episode or anything like that, but I just feel really good. And again, I don't see specific targets popping up for her soon. And I kind of like her status as like newer vet. There's a couple Survivor women on the season. There's a couple other just CBS people who might gravitate together. I just like where she's at. Aviv 4th, I think the target's going to be big on Aviv because of her attachment to Bananas, but still, I look at her as one of the best competitors on the female side there. I had to have her in the top 5. And then Ashley, purely out of respect, 2-time champ, who I love. I'm so happy she's back and on this season. In that she seems to be, so far, we see in the trailers, of course, Ashley's going to get in some arguments and some things, but in this moment, she's at least like really playing the quiet, calm game. Like I was kind of interested to see her not just being like, we should be anti-Bananas or anything like that right away. Just like, let them do that. We'll chill. Let's keep these vet communication lines open and let's all just, kumbaya kind of work together. So that's good. So Cara, Olivia, Michaela, Aviv, Ashley, obviously on the women's side, very much favoring the vets over the new threats. On the men's side, I do get one new threat in there. I have a strong bias towards the vets here. We just got more information to work with on them. But number 1, I'm actually putting Jeremy. I think he, because of the partner switching and because of the Olivia versus Bananas brewing that is going on, I think his target went from like, oh, that's the new guy we got to get out first, to I think he could be an asset to an alliance and is going to be back in the middle a little bit more and is always going to be coveted as a partner by the women. So depending if they get to pick or if it's random, either way, they're going to want to have Jeremy as a partner, especially all the vet women. So I'm putting him number 1. I think if they ran a final right now, like, I think he could keep up and or beat the Theo's, Bananas, Derek's, Turbos of the world that are, former champions. And Theo's not a former champion, Bananas, Derek, and Turbo. I was really just reading off my list of the rest of the top 5 when I said that, which is Theo, Bananas, Derek, and Turbo. Bananas, Derek, Turbo, experience, could do well in the final. Derek K, I think could be in that middle and could, if he plays it right and he's been there enough, that I think he can navigate figuring out how to play it right versus upsetting someone too quickly by actually picking a side, that whole thing. And Theo, I think I got to put number 2, very similar to Olivia. I think their alliance can be the slight majority and can hold the slight majority. And then I know he can hold up on his own in dailies, in a limbs, in a final, and is going to be looked at as a sought after partner. So Jeremy, Theo, Bananas, Derek, Turbo. Again, 9 out of 10 on my power rankings are vets. Bias is strong, but that's where we're going. And for now, no predictions, no wishes. This week, we will start to incorporate more and more of those. My only wish is the same as we entered the season, for a great season. I really liked episode 1. I liked episode 0. I might even have really liked it. So far, so good. I came in with lower expectations for whatever expectations I allow myself to have. Lower. Try to be fair, and so far, so good. Really enjoying the first 2 episodes. We'll be back next week, sometime between Wednesday and Friday. Let me actually pull up my calendar live here, right? Just a quick moment. You know what? Next week, there's a good chance it will be Wednesday night, if not very early Thursday morning, a little earlier than this. So definitely subscribe, follow. I will be on Instagram a little more often. I haven't been on in a long time, so if there's messages sitting there from months ago, I apologize to any of you. I will still go back and respond to any of those, but I will be back there if you want to chat challenge, at Challenge Historian, anywhere you look. I will talk to you next week. Until then, peace.